Hey guys, Baron here, back with another episode of the Legendary Origins. Now on the last video, we covered the weather trio being Groudon, Kyogre and Rayquaza. So now, to really wrap up the home region, we kind of covered the mythicals of the home region, being Deoxys and Jirachi. So guys, if you enjoyed that and want to show your support towards the channel, please hit that like button, the subscribe button, and share this video with a friend or two. But with that being said, let's get right into it. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. Now that is always a quote that I've always loved, and I feel like it's perfectly personified in the design and concept of Jirachi. Jirachi is a wish Pokemon. It is a Steel/Psychic type, and its name is the same in English and Japanese. Its ability is Serene Grace, which it actually shares with other mythical Pokemon, for example being Shaman and Meloetta. Now what Serene Grace does is that it doubles the chance of a move having an additional effect. So for example, Psychic will have a 20% chance of lowering the target's special defense stat instead of its usual 10% chance. And that is definitely very useful for Jirachi being a Psychic type. Jirachi is 0.3 meters tall, or 1 foot, and it weighs 1.1 kilograms, or 2.4 pounds, and that is actually the lightest steel type out of all the steel types in the Pokedex. It is only tied by Kartana at the same weight, but that is one Pokemon that we will talk about in a much later video. As for its name, it seems to be derived from the Russian word shelat, meaning wish. It may also derive from sachi, meaning wish, happiness or fortune in the Japanese language. Now as for its typing, that's actually a less self-explanatory factor. Well, that is for the steel type. As for the Psychic type, that is not that hard to figure out. Jirachi has indeed shown telepathic powers, being able to, for example, grant wishes of humans. It also is quite a common trait for the Pixie mythical Pokemon to be a Psychic type, at least in the early generations, for example Mew, Celebi, and Jirachi of course. But as for its steel type, I think this can seem like a bit of a mystery to some people. But I think there are two primary factors that actually can explain why it is a steel type. Now, as I mentioned, Jirachi is one of the lightest steel-type Pokemon, only tied with Kartana, and that Pokemon is essentially made of paper. But Jirachi actually has other steel-type qualities, instead of being made by metal like most of the steel types. Pokemon Emerald Pokedex entry, it is mentioned that Jirachi is said to make wishes come true. While it sleeps, a tough crystalline shell envelops the body to protect it from enemies. That is actually something we can see in the movie Jirachi the Wishmaker too, where Jirachi envelops itself into a cocoon to sleep for a millennia and then wake up to grant wishes. So in this case, the steel type qualities Jirachi can produce would be sort of a defense mechanism, and that would be what gives it the steel type. Another factor that I think can explain Jirachi's steel type goes into a bit more of a scientific explanation. Now with the clear design element to Jirachi, it's its head crown, which is actually, if you look at it, shaped like a star. Now what stars are is essentially balls of very hot gas. This gas is mostly hydrogen and helium, which are the two lightest elements, therefore explaining Jirachi's typing. Stars shine by burning hydrogen into helium in their cores and later in their lives create heavier elements. Now how does this relate to steel in general? Now how hydrogen is actually created into a liquid is a bit too extensive for me to go into in this video, but essentially it can exist as a liquid when it is in a hot and gravitationally compressed interior, for example in a planet like Jupiter, Saturn, and in some exoplanets and stars. So my theory is the Jirachi's metallic component is actually a very light form of metallic hydrogen in liquid form, being created at high pressure and temperature. And this is not the only time that steel-type Pokemon have been sort of a liquid consistency. Both Meltan and Melmetal, later introduced, seem to be based on a liquid form of metal too. Looking at something else completely though, Jirachi's origin seem to be based largely on Arabic myths about genies, or jinn. You know, the genie from Aladdin sort of trapped in a flask sort of thing. Now, an interesting parallel here is that in some myths, imprisoned genies would grant wishes to the person who released them, and that is very similar to how Jirachi operates and are essentially put in a cocoon every millennia and then wakes up every millennia to grant wishes to the one who wishes it. Pun intended. However, a much more interesting concept to Jirachi's origin is the paper strips that it has on its crown. These papers seem to be a reference towards Tanabata, one of Japan's most significant holidays. This holiday is all about wish making, and the papers are actually the papers where you put your wish down to later be fulfilled, which very much fits into Jirachi's concept. Religiously, this holiday celebrates the deities Orihime and Hikoboshi. According to legend, Orihime was the daughter of the Tente, or the Sky King, or even the universe itself. She wove beautiful clothes by the bank of the Amanogawa, literally meaning the heavenly river. Her father loved the cloth that she wove, and so she worked very hard every day to weave it. Although sadly, this work meant that she could never meet a lover. Concerned for her well-being, Tenji arranged for her to meet Hikoboshi, also referred to as Star Boy, who lived and worked on the other side of the Amanogawa. When the two met, they fell instantly in love with each other and married shortly after. However, once married, Orihime would no longer weave cloths for Tente, and Hikoboshi allowed his cows to stray all over heaven. In anger, Tente separated the two lovers across the Amanogawa and forbade them to meet. Orihime became despondent. Although they and Orihime's father came to a mutual understanding, if she would continue to weave her cloths, the two lovers would be able to meet on the 7th day of the 7th month, which is why the holiday is celebrated on this very particular day. Furthermore, this really clarifies the connection Jirachi has to stars and the cosmos. Speaking of the cosmos, this leads us into our next mythical Pokemon, Deoxys. It is a DNA Pokemon, and its name in English and Japanese are both the same. And its name is thought to be an abbreviation of deoxyribonucleic acid, otherwise known as DNA, the medium of genetic code in many cellular organisms, including humans. It is a psychic type in all its forms, and its ability is pressure. This ability entails that when every time the Pokemon is targeted by a foe's move, one additional PP is deducted or reduced upon execution. This is an ability that Deoxys shares with other legendary Pokemon, such as the legendary birds, Mewtwo, Raikou, Entei, Suicune, Lugia, Ho-Oh, and others. Its height is 1.7 meters tall, or 5.7 inches, and it weighs 60.8 kilograms, or 134 pounds. This actually makes it kind of close to the average height and weight of the human being, which I think is completely intentional. Now, not only does Deoxys seem to be based on DNA, it also appears to be based on classical visualization of an alien. With this I mean that it's close to the Homo sapien and humans and apes in general, but it's not quite like them, making them somewhat distinct. This is somewhat similar to how Mewtwo looks and how it is designed, which makes the two very interlinked. There are theories floating online that Deoxys was the very cause of the Pokerus virus, since these both seem to be viruses with unknown origin. But this is something that we will not cover in this video, and I would recommend checking that out if you're interested. Deoxys is very distinct with its 4 different forms. These consist of the normal form, attack form, defense form, and speed form. And while the latter 3 definitely specializes in one particular stat, the normal form is sort of distributed towards all the kinds of different stats. Now, Deoxys' ability to consistently and constantly reshape itself into its different forms seems to be somewhat based on the DNA's ability to mutate itself. Now, in this context, a mutation is a permanent alteration of the sequence of the genome of an organism. A genome is essentially how a gene is personified in your characteristics. So essentially, your ability to have blue eyes and a different shaped nose to other people essentially is because of genomes. Now, mutation can often be quite detrimental to humans, with essentially us missing out on important biological foundational qualities that make up our DNA, but I think for Deoxys, the mutation definitely works in his favor. It seems to be a developed organism that can, with much quicker speed than humans, change its genomes, essentially making it appear and be able to be constructed differently with different abilities, for example being more bulky in its defense form while being faster in speed form. So guys, that really wraps it up for the home region. So in the next video we're gonna go into the Sinnoh region, and there's a lot of legends in there, so we're probably gonna be stuck there for a while, but that's gonna be really enjoyable because I think that a lot of mons there have really cool origins. But guys, if you did enjoy this video and want to show your support, please hit that like button, subscribe to the subscribe button, and share this video with a friend or two. And of course, comment your own views in the comment section below and your own sort of thoughts about this video. I would love to hear your thoughts about it. And with that being said, I'm gonna get the hashtag out of here. Thank you guys for checking out the video before, until, and after. See you next time though. Stay awesome.